Look, I chase the truth, no matter where it comes from, no matter the complexion, no matter the individual, no matter their resume. If it's the truth, I think that could stand alone on itself. So I don't diminish what's coming from them because of who they are. But I will diminish what they're saying because I think they have a point, but it's pointed in the wrong direction. Let's just be real about this, guys. We know that this is coming from a good place. We know that the source of this frustration and trying to make an impact is coming from a good place, but either they're not being fully genuine in terms of what they want out of this so-called protest, or they're not being knowledgeable about what their efforts would achieve in such protests. One of them is deeply suffering, and let's talk about that. To say that you're tired of the BS of systemic racism, and you're going to sit out abbreviated NBA season, to what avail will that change systemic racism when this has been around before you were born, Dwight Howard, Kyrie was born, I was born. So many people have not only been in this fight for decades, but they've also predicted the thing we don't want to talk about the most that Dwight Howard actually discusses, which is the black family unit and how that has been broken down over time as predicted in the Moynihan report back in 1965.
There is a lot of evidence that the Negro middle-class family, when it gets its opportunity, gets a bearing, is, if anything, more stern, more rigid than most.
Saying, hey, we can keep talking about liberty, equality, justice for all, but if we don't fix the fabric, the core of the black unit and the black family that's been disrupted for generations, we will not only be in this same place, but worse off. And if you look at a lot of numbers that suggest that we are actually in a worse position in terms of our growth relative to the growth of this country. Whew, these guys, I love it, man. You brought up Colin Kaepernick, and it's crazy because there's a parallel. Kyrie is going to sit out a season that he's not even going to play in and get paid for it. In terms of level of sacrifice, I don't think that's too deep. Colin Kaepernick, at the height of his powers, was not talking about social justice and reform. He waited till he was a backup, and then that came out. So when we're trying to leverage our platforms, you guys just didn't wake up yesterday and understand what leverage means. Leverage it when you have the most opportunity, which means either A, do it at the height of your powers, Colin Kaepernick, or B, do it using the NBA as your platform, Kyrie Irving, so that your message is greater served and heard louder. I just don't understand exactly where they're pointing, even though I know that they have a point. If another person walks up to me and says, you know, Colin Kaepernick was right. Colin Kaepernick was right about what? Singing the same song louder that has not gotten us to close the gap in terms of what we truly desire. There are social scientists out there. I'm talking about in the 50s and 60s who predicted exactly this outcome. And they said fighting systemic racism is not enough. The fabric of any community is this family. Broken children will lead to a broken community. That's why I applaud LeBron James, because he's a family man, because he's taking care of his family. All of us are not going to do this together. It takes individuals, as we play sports. Do your job. But everyone right now is in some kind of quest to make sure that they're the ones that get credit and they're the ones that gets the attention. But this is an age-old problem. And every solution that I keep seeing, which is either coming from being woke or affirmative action, welfare dependency, you continue down the line, all the protests and all the outrage you have. But until we fix our family unit and point at that, we're not giving ourselves the best opportunity to go out there and do something. I know these guys are well-intended, and I'm not taking shots at them. I'm just taking shots at the direction and the effort. I'm a guy who grew up 10 miles away from Fox Studios. But boy, was it a stark contrast. Welfare, 2 checks a month. Food stamps every month. 3 times a month, I was waiting for the government to give us our payday, to give us our opportunity. And I saw all around me all the ills that come from that community, the gangs, the drugs, the poverty. But I'm going to tell you the worst thing of all that almost got me. It was the low ambition that was getting sucked away from people who weren't living out their dreams. For people who didn't think that their dreams could be a reality. For people every single day that was walking around hoping for a job, not even thinking about a career. And I remember being that fork in the road kid. And as Thomas Sowell said, because of your color of skin is not a birthmark that condemns you to a lower status in life. When stuff was harder for us, my dad is from Texas, the South, the 40s. My dad just shakes his head when he sees what we're doing right now, because when things were more difficult and overt, we complained less and worked harder. But now everybody's into, watch me try to change this. How about you put in applied, focused work and stop trying to always get the attention of being the one who solves this? There are so many smart people, so many people who have the proper credit that is doing the work, that is about the substance, not the sizzle. Hopefully these guys can bring this all together and we can truly see change going forward.